a focus on being available for remote response. So, so we'll get the PowerPoint up. Angelica, I can see you now.
Oh, no,
welcome, everyone.
I was trying to see
I know there's more people coming, but it's so nice to see who's there. So
thank you.
I'm going to try to put it, okay. Now, everybody, we won't be able to see each other, but can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Now?
Okay.
Yes. Great. Okay. Great.
So, so Allie, I'm going to let you run the PowerPoint because I think you have to from being the host there, right?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. So Gina's going to be going through
you can't see the bottom. So the outline for today is we're going to start with a grounding exercise, do brief introductions, cover the basics of PFA, the core actions, and adapting them to delivery online and telephone, talking about compassion fatigue and do's and don'ts. So that's basically the format. So it'll be a refresher for many of you. And we are going to be recording this, so it'll be available to others who couldn't attend and wanted to have this to be able to respond in the community. So first of all, as we talk about self-care and we talk about being available and we talk about being in the moment, it's important that we connect with ourselves and do a little grounding right now before we start, which is one way that I start my day every day in order to be able to help others. I need to be present for myself. So I want you to take a moment right now and sit comfortably in your chair. Feel the support of the chair beneath you as you sit. Place your feet solidly on the ground so you can feel the earth. Place your hands gently on your thighs. Have your spine be firm and erect, but not stiff, just dignified as you hold your place between the earth and the sky. And you have your head resting gently on your neck, and imagine the top of your head as if there's a golden light or a light going up into the sky. And feel your body connected and supported. Now we're going to take 3 full, deep, intentional breaths together. Breathing in through your nose, filling the lungs, and out through the mouth. Let's do it 2 more times together. Filling the lungs, hold for a moment, out through the mouth. And let's take another deep inhale, filling the lungs, feeling the health of your lungs right now, filling them deeply, expanding your chest. Hold and exhale.
Just like let them go.
And as you're sitting quietly together here, let's set an intention together that as our lungs fill with air, we are healthy, we are here together. You can set an intention for yourself for this 1 hour together of what you would intend for yourself for this time together. And just continue with some soft inhalations and exhalations with just your normal breath. Appreciate yourself for taking the time to be here. Send kindness and compassion to yourself for being here with the intent to help others. Deeply grateful for your intention to be here. Thank you. And then when you're ready, you can just roll your head around in a circle and your shoulders around. Stretch your body, wiggle your toes and your feet, and welcome everyone. I'm so sorry that I can't see you all because I've got the PowerPoint up, but so how was that for everybody?
It was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
Thank
you. Okay. Yeah, you take a moment like this 2 or 3 times a day, and there are many, and I can recommend many meditation apps that are helpful to keep us grounded and in the moment. So now we're just going to do some very, very quick introductions. Your name, if there's an agency that you're with, and what you expect to get from the training, and just very brief, just so we have a sense of community, because we're so disembodied being on our computers. So I would love to hear who's on the call and what you'd like to get from the meeting.
Great. Gina, if it's okay, I can get started and then I could do some name calling. I can see I have a
Yes,
roster
please.
here,
That
so that way you know when to unmute
Yeah,
and when
good.
to mute. So my name
Okay.
is Ali Cortez. I am representing the Santa Barbara Unified School District. My role is to work with youth and empowering them and giving them tools to increase their resiliency. I'm also on the board of the Santa Barbara Response Network, and what I expect to get from this training is just also a refresher. I know tools that I have been using consistently with myself, with my family, with the youth and our community members, and they really do really work with the situation we're in. How about Melissa?
Hi.
Hi.
I work in UCSB. I'm a personal supervisor in the housing department. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, so I have kind of a formal training in this area, but I would like to update myself and be ready because we take care of a lot of people in the resident halls.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
Amazing.
Good.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Melissa.
for coming.
Thank you.
And I love our duo with Isa.
Hey, yeah, I'm Isa. I'm a senior at UCSB. I'm here because I'm going a little stir crazy at home, and if I can help out, I would love to. I did PFA training most recently, I don't even remember. It seems like so long ago, but it was just like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So ready for a little bit of a refresher and ready to get started. And then this is my mom.
I am. Hi. I'm an educator here in San Diego at San Diego Union High School District. I'm also a nationally certified health and wellness coach. So really hoping to just add to that through the PFA to help as much as I can in this situation.
Fabulous. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you and welcome for coming.
How about Scott?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Scott. I was actually in the PFA training with Issa 2 months ago, a little while ago. So I don't remember when it was exactly.
That's right.
It was definitely recent. I'm a fourth-year doctoral student in this ID program over at Antioch, and I'm basically just looking for ways to give back right now. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you, Scott.
Welcome, Scott. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
How about Angelica?
Hello, I work with the Carpinteria Children's Project. I'm one of the family liaisons. And what I want to take from this is actually, we are going to start creating a support call. So
Yes.
I've done some of the training, first aid training. So I've been refreshing myself on a lot of that because this is, even though I do that when we're in the Family Resource Center, this is like, I want to focus on what else I can learn from that. So I'll be joining you right now, and I'm also going to be joining tomorrow with some of our promotores.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Great.
Awesome.
Hi, Mark.
Hello. My name is Mark Gloria. I used to live in Santa Barbara until maybe 2 years ago or so, and I've known Ali personally before. Currently working as a product manager in the Bay Area actually now. And what I'm hoping to get out of this is some actionable tactics that I can apply both when it comes to working with colleagues and direct reports, but also with close friends and family, like my sister, because she works in healthcare. So there's a lot of stuff going on at the front lines right now. So I just want to be better equipped to be there for people in different types of situations.
Fabulous. That's amazing, Mark. So good to see you again.
Wonderful. Good to see you.
Yeah. We have Dina.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Dina.
Hi. I work for Coast Caregiver Resource Center, but I'm an expert in elder care, and I've been providing supportive services to elders and their caregivers for a good 15 years. But right now I'm calling a lot of caregivers and trying to offer them services. And right now I have just this need to help people because I'm doing so well. So I just want to share and also share resources because I cover all three, the Tri-Counties region. And I speak Spanish, and I still haven't been able to get on the Spanish speaking circuit, but I just want to be available to help. That's all.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Dina.
That's great, Dina.
Really happy to have you here. Leslie.
I don't know if you can see me. Hi.
Yes.
Everyone. Hi. My name is Leslie Guerrero.
Yeah.
I am a bilingual paraeducator with the Santa Barbara Unified School District. I work at La Cumbre Junior High supporting our emergent multilingual students. And so I will also be tuning in tomorrow. I'm super excited. I took this training when I was a senior at UCSB, I think last January or something of that sort. So just kind of trying to touch base right now that I have a little bit more time and freedom here. And of course, I work with a lot of students and families, so I want to make sure I have a new lens towards applying the same concepts that we learned in that training, but now in a virtual zone or also just online, over the phone, sorry. So thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. So happy to have you here. How about the one for Renee?
Hola todos. Hi everyone. Rene Garcia Hernandez, pronouncing him él, and the agency I'm with is just Communities, Comunidades Justas. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of work with Ali at this time, supporting our youth and their families in our communities. So those who have done the work know that there's this mental health, hat that we have to put on, even if we're not experts. So for me in this training, I hope to get out just always a reminder of what path do we take when we're wearing multiple hats, and better be safe than sorry is what's really leading my heart right now. So here we are learning something out of my comfort zone. But I hope, I know I'm gonna get out a lot just from knowing Ali. So I'm excited to learn, and I'll be here for the Spanish one as well. and happy to see new faces and build connections. So thank you for having me on this event.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. We see Ikabe. Oh, Ikabe, we can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Yeah, now he's off.
Oh.
Ikabe?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. Yay.
Hi, my name is Yvette KB.
Yvette.
I'm actually a doctoral student at Antioch. This is my last year, my last quarter. But I did take the psychological first aid, and I thought it would be the best thing for me to do, dealing with trauma. You know, my family's from Montserrat in the Caribbean, so we had the volcano, and it's still active, as well as living here in Santa Barbara with all of the natural disasters that happened while I was in my program. So, you know, just being alert, just being, you know, ready for whatever. So I'm just trying to glean from whatever you're giving this evening, and that's it. Oh, I currently work at Practicum at Family Service Agency, as well as SBCC.
Wow, wonderful.
Wonderful. Nice to see you again, Yvette.
Well, it looks like we have a great group.
Pardon?
Yeah, Arthur.
Oh, we have
nice
Arthur.
To see you, Yvette. There's Arthur.
Hello.
Arthur, you're
I don't know
driving.
if everybody can see me. Yeah,
Hi.
I'm driving. Sorry.
We can see you.
I can.
I'm a psychiatrist here in Atascadero, California, and I'm just hoping to kind of get some new ideas for the brief interventions that we're having to do with all of our crisis patients. So thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming. Joining us.
One of the things about introductions
hey, what a group we have.
One of the things about introductions is just that it does also, we're always doing this, we're also reducing the stress levels. You know, there's something about our brain that engages. It's like, who is here? What are they about? And, you know, you get the sense it's like, this is community. Everybody here really spoke to the wanting to give, wanting to help. So that, you know, also is just familiarity to reduce any kind of stress, especially because it's like, you know, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So to give up your dinner, thank you, your dinner time. And I think we are forming community, and you are part of the SBRN community. And we will, every Friday at 1 o'clock, you're welcome to join us. We have a meeting online on Zoom to just check in and offer support and be community. That's every Friday at 1. So join anytime. And why are we using psychological first aid? If you go to the World Health Organization, which I recommend anybody does to get COVID-19 information, COVID-19, they will suggest psychological first aid as an intervention right now in the communities and with our families. PFA has been used with children, adolescents, adults, and families in the aftermath of any kind of disaster. That's distaste, which is, it should be distaste, but it's disaster. Any form of disaster or trauma. And it's a very effective way to connect with a person who is undergoing stress, intense stress and trauma, and to help to regulate their nervous system, their bodies, their psyche. The purpose of psychological first aid is basically there are 8 core actions, and we establish a base of security, connection. We help to ameliorate stress reduction. We help foster long-term coping strategies. And we also believe, and PFA's model is based on the fact that everyone has the ability to heal and has the ability to self-regulate and be resilient and has a resilience within them. We're not fixing people. It's not a fix orientation. It's an allowing. So we can go to the next slide. I wanted to also share that we're in this presentation, and I guess our slides are a little stuck, are also going to be covering self-care. This is extremely valuable right now. We can't stress enough that how you're caring for yourself will be what you are imparting and modeling for anyone you talk to. We're all here because we want to help, but let me just shift that a little bit and say we're all here to care for ourselves through this so that we can be allowed to help others. This is unprecedented territory, unprecedented times. So I can't say enough what your self-care practices will bring to the arena. I can't read the slides because the participants' names, do you see the participants' names on the right that kind of block the slide? Oh. Okay, I don't know how to fix that, but basically what self-care is an activity that we do in order to support our mental, emotional, and physical care. It seems simple, but often people overlook that in their zealous interest and care for others. And in order for us to be very effective, we must be tuned into that relationship with ourselves, and then we will be able to be better attuned with others. If there's anything you take away from today, it will be, please establish a self-care practice. It may be prayer, it may be yoga, it may be, and I'm very happy, and I will also do another program on establishing a self-care practice in your home. So I just want to stress that in these times that this is the paramount lesson, because you're going to help other people also establish those as you offer psychological first aid. Okay, now we're going to go into the symptoms of trauma because we're all experiencing some form of this, and the people you're talking to are also going to be struggling with all of these symptoms. And even if you can't see the slide, we're going to send you the recording, and it'll be all on there. But we're absolutely in a state of shock, helplessness. We may be irritable and angry, blaming ourselves. We may feel very withdrawn and isolated. Our moods may be erratic. We don't know how to conceive or perceive of what will happen next. All this is what we are all experiencing. Please, anything that you're experiencing, be compassionate and kind to yourself, because this is universal. We're all in it, and we need to make this time one of acceptance of psychological, I wouldn't even call it distress, but we're trying to cope, and there's a lot of psychological symptoms that show up in that. Okay. The physiological symptoms, probably all known to us too. We're having all sorts of physiological, a lot of loss of sleep. And the people you're talking to, insomnia, absolute, the body is a reflection of what we're experiencing internally, and some of the fear that we're not able to completely process. So all of these things, again, are ones that we will be all experiencing And then again, being mindful of having to have these routines that we've established for ourselves in sleep and eating and exercise. But that's what we're going to be experiencing if we don't care for our bodies as well. Now, these are the 8 core actions of psychological first aid. We don't practice them in a linear form, but we're aware of them in all our interactions. And what we're doing with psychological first aid, and whether it's face-to-face, and I'm going to be talking on when we break down the core actions about how they affect how we can be more effective on the phone or online. We will be looking at each of these core actions and how we can maintain connection with that person. And the first core action is obviously making contact. The second is finding out if they're, safe. And then we're going to follow making sure they're stabilized, finding information about what they need in order to become more centered, offer any practical assistance, helping them to set up social supports. And there are social supports, even though we're physically distant, we're socially connected. And then how to link them with collaborative services, which SBRN has a very robust support system. So when you are on calls, please turn to us for collaborative connections for the people you're talking to. So we're going to go into core action number 1, and then we're going to be talking about the self-care component of that core action. When we are with the person that we are on the phone with, or on a call like this, which unfortunately I can't see your faces, but that's just perfect because I can talk about what it is that I'm trying to convey to you in cyberspace. Actually, we're not in the same room. I can't engage with you on that personal level, but I have to establish a connection with you. I have to make myself a person, and that's why we did the introductions. We have to still have the respect of asking for permission to be with that person in their pain. We can explain who we are and what SBRN is, and we want to know what it is that ails them and how we can help them. So in that, whether it's on an email, a phone call, an online experience, you are very mindful, as I am right now, to try to establish a connection and of being present. And that's, again, back to the being mindful in the moment. How do I establish a connection with that person? That is going to be one of the most healing experiences that that person will have, is connection with you. So now the self-care part, I think, Ali, do you want to talk a little bit about the self-care? And
Yeah, absolutely. The contact and engagement, especially during a crisis moment or situation or an event, is so crucial because it almost feels like a gift to that person, like kind of almost unexpected. We kind of go into we just go into the I'm alone. How am I going to do this? In a situation where, our fight, flight, and freeze mode is activated. But for ourselves as well, our contact and engagement, how are we connecting with ourselves? How are we engaging intentionally, deliberately with ourselves is also going to reflect in the way we support others. So connecting with yourself, learning to say no is, it's a gold mine of just of loving yourself and taking care of yourself. There will be times where there's a lot of responses happening, and if you yourself are not okay, self-care is saying, I'm sorry, I can't go, I can't attend, I can't answer that email, I can't call right now. And that's okay. That's why it's compassionate, because you know that the next one, when you're okay, when you are full, when your cup is full, you're going to give your best and you're going to feel good, and then that person's going to receive that goodness too. So setting limits with your time management, I think, when this happened, I think a lot of us expected to have a lot of time on our hands. And I don't know about you, but I realized that was not true. Like we ended up actually being busier because we're now responding one-on-one, maybe not in big groups. We're also having to adjust. So just connecting with yourself, engaging with yourself, setting limits, and saying no to things, especially during this time, is self-care. And I love that little cartoon. It's like Richard is very protective of his space. Yeah, and that's okay. People don't like that, and that's okay. But connect and engage with yourself to give the best when you are ready to give.
Now, here is the second core action, which is safety and comfort. And because we're not in the proximity of that person, how do we offer that emotional comfort online or on the telephone? How do we convey that sense of safety and comfort in remote settings? Does anyone have any suggestions for that? Have you given this some thought about how you can do that? Please share if you do.
Basically what I tell clients is just, like what's going on with me. So I share a piece of me with them, so they, so they don't feel as though it's, they're alone, That's just one way.
Yes. That's really important. Yeah.
Little self-disclosure.
Personalizing it, we're not in alone. Yeah. And if we use that effectively, it's a very powerful tool. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. One thing that I have found has been a very important strategy. I do a lot of response online around the world to people who are in suicidal crisis. And I also do it on the phone at times and remotely. And I'm very clear about my intention and my messaging to the person. I'm conveying in any message that I'm sending them that they, right now with me, are safe with me. They can be open with me. They can be safe with me, and that they're not alone at this moment. And my intention again is to make myself be able to connect to that person and find out what it is that's hurting them and find out how I can most effectively respond. That's picked up, and it's been years of doing this, and it even gets picked up in cyberspace. If you're clear in your intention of wanting to offer that, it really does get conveyed. Okay, and then we have the core action 2, the self-care part. So
yeah, just a little quick note on the core action 2 for PFA. One way to convey in the calls that I've been doing is, kind of doing that, oh, like these little things of I'm still on the line, because things are cut off consistently and people are like, are you there? Are you there? And then we heighten that, that like stress energy again. So, consistently be like, I'm here. And I know it seems like a little bit overboard, but the other person might be in a, really talking, but they really need to know that someone's still there, and our presence is that safety and comfort. And we usually do it, physically. So now the way we can do it is with our tonality. And again, this is why the self-care is important, because the body never lies. If you are experiencing like intense stress, if you're under a lot of pressure, as much as you try to fake it, Our bodies are designed to perceive, and our neurons, you know, are always receiving information. If I'm safe, is this a safe person? So our self-care is important because we're going to convey that. You know, smiling is such a great way to, you know, kind of get ourselves out of that funk, right? It does change your mood, and it could be just a simple smile. Helping others, we know that promotes gratification, which is why you're here. For some of us, you know, this is our self-care. Learning about this and knowing that there's other people helping who have the same heart. Practicing optimism is again, it's like, what do you feed yourself? You know, if you feed yourself healthy things, your body's going to feel healthy immediately. But if you also don't, you immediately have a reaction of like, oh, I don't feel so good. So practicing optimism is also kind of like, you know, exercising that muscle of, it becomes integrated into your system, into your character. It's really becomes part of your system. And so in times of crisis, we have, for sustainability reasons, we have to practice optimism and kind of ingrain it in our routine. And that could be anything, like every morning could be you look up a cartoon or you look up a quote. Everybody has their own formula. And if you don't, this is a great time to, you know, tune in. What is my formula? What is my optimism formula? Is it, you know, doing a random dancing? Is it calling someone and telling them a joke? Finding jokes? Just, there's so many ways, but it just really kind of unleashes a whole different sustainable energy that keeps you going and going and going.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Okay. This is a little slide we did, like talk about terror. Because we can't see people, we can only relate to the fact that that's probably what they're experiencing. Is a certain amount of dread and terror right now. And what's going to happen to me? And adults and children around the world are sharing this. We're one planet right now, one humanity. So the core action number 3 at PFA has to do with stabilization. So when you're on the phone with someone, often they'll be very agitated. They'll be calling because they don't know where to turn. We've had a lot of calls that seniors are very isolated. Families, and Ali was sharing with me, are frustrated with their teenagers. They don't know what to do. Parents are overwhelmed. So they're completely dysregulated. Everybody who's in that state is dysregulated. How do we calm an emotionally overwhelmed and distraught person? How are you going to be able to, in that telephone or online, be able to offer that person some sense of calm and emotional stability? And again, I'd like to open it up and see if any of you have ideas and that you'd like to share with the group.
I usually try to start by kind of soliciting, you know, if someone's in a very emotional state and they're kind of like all over the place, I try to start by asking them to label, like, you know, talk through what they're feeling and try to specifically label their feelings. And usually once they've labeled the emotion, then it's easy to work around and kind of talk through. So I've always found that labeling emotions, listening to that really helps, and validating, hey, your feelings are valid. Yeah, and just holding space for that.
I really like that. And my friend Dan Siegel calls it name it to tame it. He's probably, I don't know if he came up with that phrase, but name it to tame it. Because if you can name what it is exactly, Mark, it helps to be able to bring down the heightened affect around that. Anyone else have ideas?
I think going back to what Ali was saying earlier, tonality and presence, just really how we show up, how we speak, how we convey what it is we want to convey. Just the words we use and the way that we communicate, really important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So before any call, and sometimes we don't have the luxury of calling out the person's calling in, we have to be very conscious of where we are in time and space so that we can be present and that we can be calm and we don't escalate, but we bring down the anxiety. And let's go to the self-care action around that stabilization.
Yeah, the thing about stabilization is that, you know, it's the result of, you know, the stress, and we know that the brain can't recognize the difference between physical danger and emotional danger. And in a crisis situation, it could definitely be an emotional danger. You know, it's present, and stabilization is recognizing that that fear, you know, that issue, and it can come in also the messaging, like, I hear you, or tell me more, giving that person permission to also open up about what they're feeling, to release that, you know, frequency of I'm not, and that message, I'm not okay, that needs to kind of be expressed for there to be room to receive the message, I'm not alone. So the message that we want to send through our phone calls is, you're not alone. There's a line, and guess what? We have a whole bunch of resources for you. That applied also to your self-care is, you know, building your support system. You know, your own board of directors, right, that are going to help navigate your goals, your emotions, who help you restore, anchor you. It's when we go into crisis mode, we go fight, flight, or freeze. You know, that logic part of our brain is like turned down, like just volume all the way down, you know, turned off, gone. And we might have to write it out. Like, you might have to have a physical list or a physical something that reminds you of who is on your board of directors of you. And so to activate the prefrontal cortex and say, okay, time to call, you know, my mom. And for some of us, that's like not the first person on our list, right? I know my mom, if I call her, she's like, what's wrong? What's going on? And I'm like, you know, so I'm like, okay, my first person is, you know, Max. Okay, so, and then, you know, go down the list. But your support system is really important and so needed, because you're probably on someone else's support system too. So again, your self-care is so important. And getting involved. And I mean, you're here. I'm not even going to cover that. You are involved.
Yeah, yeah. And the element of joy that's on there is very important. And your support system, some of my support systems online. Every morning I listen to these different talks and podcasts of different teachers, and they're my support system. And so it's all over. It's all over. And that's what we want to convey to people, is that there is support for them. The fourth action in PFA is information gathering on needs. And a lot of people right now, and it's going to ebb and flow, but we haven't reached the peak of distress in our community yet. I think it's going to escalate. We're all mindful that this is, you know, there's going to be more people, and there's going to be more restrictions. So you're going to have people calling, needing food, needing help for their children. Their immediate needs are going to be very dramatic and intense. So you're going to be able to respond to them by, first of all, having the support, which we would offer you, of places and other people that could take their needs and help fill them. But that you're going to be able to do a warm handoff for the needs they might have. You might not be able to offer the physical need at the moment. You're going to be offering the psychological support, calm, and care, and then handing them off warmly to the person or the agency that might help them be able to bring meals in if they're shut in, be able to bring in some kind of attention that they might be able to provide. So you're going to be the person that's going to be the first in the contact, and then you're going to be helping them to be referred on. So, and then we have the self-care action, which Allie will talk on to number 4.
Yeah. Sorry, they get kind of stuck.
I know, I'm sorry, it gets stuck.
The information gathering too is you might have to ask a few questions, and really basic questions of like, is there someone around you? Is there someone that you need to connect with? One of the phone calls that I received was immediately, received the, hi, this is Ali from the Santa Barbara Response Network. How can I help you today? And it was, I need to clear my record. And I was like, okay, yes, yeah, it's not what I was expecting. And then little by little in the conversation, I was like, so are you paying rent right now? Kind of, the clearing your record is probably not the essential need. We need to go back to the really basic need. But she called for that reason. She's reaching out for help. So I went back to, are you facing any struggles with paying your rent? And it turns out that she did. And I was like, do you have food? Let's just start there. And then I'll also give you information on who you can connect with about your record. But sometimes reeling that person back, and just going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, let's go back to the basics, do you have a home? Do you know that you can't be evacuated right now? That information, is giving, gathering the information and then giving them the information. It's like, well, these are your rights. This is, you can't be, you don't have to worry about your water right now. Then we were able to talk about the real need. And so, go back to yours, are you also connecting with yourself? And then, what are your needs? You have every right to need, you have every right to seek out services and receive them. Here at SBRN, like, for example, if you are going through a lot at whatever the situation is and you can't respond to a call, you can say, I can't. Do you by any chance know where I can get some mental health support? Or do you have a professional that focuses on this kind of service? Gina is like connected, and Angelica, she's connected all the way to Costa Rica, by the way, like, or no, it wasn't Angelica, it was Melissa's from Costa Rica. That there is a lot of connections because we are the Santa Barbara Response Network. We have a vast network. And because, look at just our volunteers today, like, you all have a vast network that we also call in and be like, hey, do you know anybody? So just know that you have every right to receive services. Sometimes when we're the helper, we're like, no, like, I got it. This is, your information gathering is also, do I need help?
Yeah.
And it's okay. I'm going to go get help. Sorry, guys. There you go.
So core action number 5, that was take a breath, which we can take the breath, and ask if there's any questions or comments before we go on to the last 3 core actions.
So then we're in practical assistance.
Okay. Yeah. So we sort of covered that in the last one, that we're really trying to stay on the practical, because a lot of that is what's leading right now to distress. If people aren't able to go out and get food, if people aren't able to go out and get the basic needs that they have, and they won't be able to get things to, there's going to be a tremendous amount of distress. What Ali mentioned, and that we are part of the community wellness team, as I'm also a part of several other collaboratives countywide. So I have tapped in to practical assistance for a lot of people. And I just want to encourage you to turn to us for support as you're making these calls and you don't know what to do. Please send us an email, a text, a phone call, and we'll help you. What you're going to do with that, when that person's on the phone with you, is really reassure them that you're going to do what you can to get them the information they need. You may not have it at your fingertips right then. You might not have the list. I can certainly email you a very current list that we have of resources, and it is on our website, and I can send you links of places where there are resources. But you're basically conveying to them that you're going to get back to them with what they need. And that's huge. That's going to dissipate a lot of the anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the self-care, the self-care list, there you go, is also when one of the calls that I received was the practical assistance was praying. You know, she just needed to say a prayer, and she needed someone to be there with her to say the prayer. And we prayed, you know, and that helped her, you know, carry on. So for the self-care, you know, is what's our kind of, you know, prayer or formula, our ritual, like, you know, sleep. You know, I know we know this, but it is practical and it's so true. These are the things that recharge us. Exercising 20 to 30 minutes to reduce stress. It does relax the muscles. It really gets those really awesome, juicy, you know, brain chemistry going that really, you know, gets us focused and stay on track with the things that we want to do. Engage in relaxing activities too is, you know, taking a stroll, taking a bath. Meditation is, you know, it's it's like medicine for me these days. And so really finding your practical assistant formula will go a long way.
Mm-hmm. And then number 6 is social support. Now, we have to reframe what's going out there. They're talking about social distancing, and it's unfortunate that that labeling happened. It's physical distancing and social connection or social support. As we go through this pandemic, and we don't know how long we'll be affected, and we have to form a social support network. And as you are talking to people, you must encourage them to also form that, to be able to nurture them through this. And it doesn't have to be very heavy. It doesn't have to be therapy. And again, therapy is encouraged. Every therapist's on telehealth now. It's all approved. But you need to have the support person, even if it's online church meetings, friends you can check in with. Those few minutes are going to save so much distress. So help them and help yourself to form this ongoing support system. And I can't stress this core action right now. Number 6 is probably could be moved up to number 1 because I haven't found anything that's worked as well for me going into my 3rd or 4th week of isolation. So I highly recommend that you think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said, Gina. I think we go to course 7.
Mm-hmm. So the information on coping. So what you're doing when you're on the phone with someone and they're highly distressed and they're talking to you about their stress reactions, you're trying, I don't want to use normalizing it, but you're just trying to convey to them with your voice and your tone that what you're going through is exactly what you need to be going through and what's going on right now. Don't minimize it. You don't try to take it away. You just let them have whatever their stress reaction is right now. They ask questions, you tell them what you know. If you don't know, you can tell them you'll call back. You connect them with whatever resources they're looking for. And you ask them, this is not the first traumatic event you've been through in your life, and what's helped you before? What's been useful to you? How do you feel like you can get through this? What's helped you in the past? As I said, I worked a lot with suicide, and there is actually, you can download this app. There's they call it the virtual hope chest. And they have people who have made multiple suicide attempts make a little box, and in it put all the hopeful things in their lives: music, art, people they can call. And you want to encourage people to think about what it is that they can turn to when they're feeling that heightened state of distress. So that's very important, that they have that to go to, and they identify that with you, and you identify that for yourself. Okay.
Yeah,
so we
and
can
this
go on to self-care.
Yeah, very much the same for yourself. You know, what is your, practicing mindfulness, yawning, stretching, those little things go a long way. And these are just some examples, but we all have our own internal medicine. We're helping the victim tune into their own, their own river of like self-care and resiliency. We all have it because we've all gone through stuff. It's part of our human nature. And so information on coping is also like like Gina said, what has worked. And for yourself too, some journaling goes a long way, to say like, well, kind of getting it out. And then right there, you might gather some information of, oh, this is bringing up this situation, this past situation. I'm going to grab something from that time that I was really resilient, I really liked. And journaling is also documentation. So you might actually go back and read something that you really liked, the poem you wrote once that helped you through it. Everybody has their own formula, but we're just, help them, but also help yourself tune into your own coping strategies.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is something we've touched on in psychological first aid and the Santa Barbara Response Network, as we call the network, is we have tremendous linkages with collaborative services. So you're not alone as a person responding, and the person you're talking to is not alone. And the goal is to link the person with whatever's available in the community that can help them. The faith-based community is a huge part of this. Medical people, people working in grocery stores, we're connected with how people can get food. All of that, those basic needs, we can link you with, and it's important for the person on the other end to know that we're going to try to find them what they need.
Absolutely.
Now, in psychological first aid, we never go alone on a response. And in a sense, it's kind of, I would say, I would keep that in mind for yourself, that if you are on the phone with somebody or you are responding, think about somebody you can check in with. I mean, Allie and I are very tuned into each other as we're doing this work, and it's important for you to identify a buddy for yourself, because if I'm feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed, I can call her up and say, got a few minutes to talk. So I'm not alone. I'm definitely not alone. On the phone, it's okay to be quiet, even though, as Allie says, with the little ahas, just to let them know you're there, but let them talk. Don't try to fix it. This is bigger than you and me. This is bigger than Bob. So we're gonna not try to fix it, but we're gonna be there with you. You're not going to make promises you can't keep. You're going to say, I'm going to see what I can find out for you and get back to you if that's okay. So that sense of support for yourself, not to stress yourself out in what you can offer. These are just some basic do's and don'ts about being an empathic listener and reflecting back to the person what you're hearing. Even though it might seem silly to you what they're saying, put yourself in the sense of what they're really saying to you and the fears that they might be having, the meaning behind some of the terror that they're feeling. This is, as we've said, activated some past fears and traumas. So being empathetic for that, and also for yourself, that this is triggering many past experiences. Clarifying what the person's saying back to them. And some of the things we don't want to do is, obviously, we have to pay attention to nonverbal. We can't do nonverbal because all we have is verbal at this point, except if you're on a Zoom call. But these are some of the things that we routinely do that we just, it's not helpful, that we understand. We may not necessarily, don't feel bad. These comforting kind of phrases that we just turn to are not helpful. What we want to do more than these is encouraging statements of, let me hear more, tell me more. How can I be of assistance? Tell me more. So we can open it now to some questions and comments. And I really want to hear from people what it is that you've been finding that's been effective for you in doing this work. And what it is that we perhaps haven't answered today.
Also, I know it's 7 o'clock, so if you have any other, if Gina, if it's okay, maybe we can, if you have any questions or concerns, you can email us or connect with us one-on-one. You have the number right there. You have our email, our website. Our big ask of everyone is to, share our content on Facebook and Instagram. That's another way that we are really making a difference, is by sharing this information. You never know who doesn't know. Some of the calls that I've gotten, I'm like, you don't know about 805 on DocuFund? Really? But then it's because, just because you know it doesn't mean somebody else doesn't know it. So you might really make a huge difference and inspired and great hope by providing information. Our social media is really a bridge of all the resources that are kind of like popping up and, changing. So, share that content. That's a great way to help. And Gina, if you want to close it out.
Yeah, I do. And I just want to say that Allie's been working very actively on our Facebook Live. We have a Facebook Live at 5 o'clock, and she's been doing that in Spanish. And we're going to start with English next week. So every day at 5 o'clock, if you tune into our Facebook page, we're going to have a live event, but then it's recorded and you can tune in anytime. And it's been very valuable content, just taking on what we've talked about today a little bit further. And the Instagram account that she's created is just invaluable with resources. So we're here for you. The message I want to leave you with is that I'm deeply appreciative for your commitment to help our community. I'm deeply appreciative for the time you took to be with us. And we're here for you, and we're your support. Please feel free to call, text, email, and I just want to, in closing, wish you good health and compassion for yourselves and for your community. Thank you.
Thanks, Gina, so much.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody. So good seeing all of you.
I'll enjoy it.
Now I can see you all. I hope it was helpful. Any feedback, send us any feedback. And anything you'd like to change, what more you'd like, please, because we're going to be doing these regularly, and you're our community.
Well, let's be open. I guess I'd have a question. Do you all have, would this be okay, or should I connect with you, Allie? I think this is so informative, especially for our youth. I think there's so much interaction within themselves that there is almost a sense of isolation, like you all mentioned, where they're kind of like keeping a sacred ground for themselves. And we've seen it through the connection of families, like the example shared about parents not knowing what to do with their teens in particular. But yeah, Ali, I think I'd connect with you. I think this is just information that I'm feeling a lot of our youth would really like. And I just want to show, I just want to share my gratitude to both of you, because I'm about to make about 210 plus calls starting tomorrow. And I was just so in being in the front line of doing the work of service. I was, even though I'm confident and strong in, I think, the work that I do, I was feeling a hesitation I haven't felt before. And a lot of the information you all shared today really gave me that confidence again of it is okay not to know, or it is okay to use these new ways of communication. Like I actually wrote down gestures and words of affirmation. Really reading between the lines of what you all shared, it was a lot of knowledge. I am best hour of my week thus far, and I'm just so grateful for both of you, especially for those of us who have to wear multiple hats. So thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And we're here for you. And your intention is going to come across on every call you make. It will. You're such a caring person. I can see that and feel it.
Renee goes above and beyond always. And so we've been doing youth workshops on stress management. I've been everything that I'm teaching them is actually PFA. So we're already covered. So we're set. All right. Would anybody be opposed to a picture? Yeah. Okay, ready? 1, 2.
No, I don't mind. I'm very dark.
1, 2, 3. Yay. Thank you, everybody. Wonderful community.
Any other comments before
Have a good night.
I will send you an email.
Yeah,
I got to rush off right now, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
They'll be sending emails. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
We'll send you the recording. And tomorrow